Good afternoon. Going to make a start on putting a cover over the chasm. I have removed the gates that were covering the hole. I put one up there just in case someone has a brain fade and comes walking down here in the dark. I have no idea who it would be, but anyway. I have hatched a plan. So the plan is that I will dig in under here because I need to have a timber that goes from this side to this side that I can then lay some joists on, and because there is nothing to fix to on these two edges, well, I mean I could bore and bolt it in here, but actually no, I couldn't because the joists are thicker than what that is. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig down into here, I don't know, 100 mils maybe, so that I can get a board in there. I will dig into here so that it can drop into there. I'll dig in up there to drop that one in, and it will sit on the ground on the other side. And then up the top there I will dig a couple of grooves this way probably, and just drop the timbers into them at that end. So that's the plan. I'll get on with it. You will observe that I was being quite careful to negotiate my way around the hole. For those of you who are new, and to give some context as to what I am covering here, this hole in the ground is over 1.7 meters or 5'7" deep on the downhill side. There is a small ledge at about a foot or 300mm down on the uphill side of the hole. You will see later in the video that I stand on this, but I make sure that my feet are firmly planted and that I was not in any danger of slipping into the deeper part. I had to be particularly careful that I didn't drop any tools down into the hole, as it would have been quite a tricky manoeuvre to try and retrieve those. The hole is deep, but it's not particularly wide, and so trying to double oneself over to pick up something from the bottom wouldn't have been an easy task. This is a reasonably straightforward job, and I had a plan in my head, as I said, as to what materials I would use from what I had. With the dismantling of the metal shed, I knew I had a couple of suitable pieces of timber from that. I had used them as bearers for the shed floor joists, but for this job I was going to use them as joist, so to speak. For the next approximately 8 minutes, there is music with movement and sound effects here and there. The movement is not synchronized to the music. You can see what I'm doing, and it doesn't really need a lot of comment. I'll jump back in just before the 11-minute mark. I'm going to call that done. You've seen what I've done. The green netting is just some garden netting that I had, and the piece of plywood that I put down was left over from when I did the floor for the metal shed. So that was in the wood rack as well. In fact, everything apart from those few palings was either wood rack or from dismantling the metal shed or the fence. The reason I put this handrail here is it just makes you feel a lot safer when you're coming down there, especially when I'm coming down with the mower and things that might be, you know, pulling me down the hill. The mower's not that heavy, but I know that as winter goes on, this will become more slippery. I'm very pleased to have that done because we have family coming on Saturday, and there is one small young man amongst that, and so I didn't want this to be unsafe for him particularly, but also just others wandering around the garden. Another one I can tick off for now. I'm expecting this is going to be here for 3 or 4 months, so that's why I went to as much trouble as I did. I'm not sure whether this will be the end of a video or not, but if it is, see you next time. Bye. I did put a piece of 6x2 down in there just to fill in that hole, just in case we had some curious hedgehogs or something, because I don't really want them falling in there and dying, and that wouldn't be great. And speaking of curious things, no, I won't go there. Bye. On the Monday, I noticed that the contractors who are responsible for clearing the silt, etc. from Joel Road had returned for another round. I politely asked them if our stuff was on their radar to clear. They replied that yes, it was, and the plan was to start on that the next day. Bright and early the next morning, they finished what they were clearing on the other side of the road and then started on ours. You can see that by the time I started filming, they had already done the uppermost part of the drive, and I'm scraping the worst of the slippery, sticky clay off the drive. I realise that slippery and sticky may seem like opposites, but believe me, they're not. The digger was having some difficulty with stability, as the rubber tracks don't get a lot of traction on the steep drive with the slippery clay. I discussed it with Nellie, the digger operator, and agreed that she could just drag all the material further down the drive and then load it onto the truck. Potentially it meant more cleanup for me, but it was just a lot safer for her. She was really nice, but had only been operating the digger for a couple of months, and so wasn't that confident or competent. That isn't intended as a criticism of her, just an explanation. We worked together to try and make both life easier for her and to get the best outcome for us. The slipperiness of the drive took me back to the days after the storm when we were clearing it and having trouble standing up. It's probably obvious, but I got a bit ambitious as to how much I could easily transport in the wheelbarrow, and so we ended up having to skid it down the drive so it didn't get away on me. Nearly ended up being a little bit frustrated as the truck took a long time to come back. When John did eventually turn up, there was a conversation, but I wasn't part of it. There are actually two trucks, one smaller, which is John's normal truck, and the other larger one, which Nellie puts the digger on. Eventually Nellie brought in the smaller one and put some of the material in that one, just to keep things moving. This is really the end of what the contractors are going to do as part of the council cleanup. I spent the next day clearing off the rest of the drive and then washing it down with the hose. It is quite helpful having a tap down in the drive at the bottom of the slip now. Not only is it a closer source of water, but the pressure is better than it would be if I was taking it from up at the house. Hopefully I'll be back next week, and I hope you have been entertained in this little episode. Bye for now. Yesterday was one of those real winter days where there was a 0 degrees start and then the cloud came in and the rain. Just winter, really. However, today the sun is shining. It was a cool start, but that's okay. And so I came down the drive to tidy up this bit here from after the contractors left. And also I was planning to have a bit of a tidy up down here. You can see over this other side particularly, it's quite a mess over there. But I decided, in actual fact, I will leave that for now because I need to make a start on digging out the clay that got left along here, which I have done. And as you can see, it varies between kind of 3 and 6 inches deep, and it'll be deeper still up here. And so I need to do all of this bit and up here. However, I'm running out of a place to put it. So far I have been filling in the hole here, but I can't put a lot more in here because they still need to be able to get in there to get the cables in. What I will likely do is just dump it just here, maybe, I'm still a little bit undecided about that. Why would I dig it out from one side and dump it on the other side when I've then just got to pick it up again? Probably what I will do, I will put sufficient here to fill in the hole once this is sorted later in the year, and then the rest of what's here I will leave here until I find somewhere that I can get rid of it off site. So that's a bit of an update on the day. The other thing that's happened is that, let's see if we can get this across there. The approach to the bridge over here, this is going to be pretty blurry, but anyway, you can see that the approach to the bridge has now been done. So the people that live over there can now get their vehicles in and out, which is great progress. There's still a huge amount to be done over there with respect to retaining walls, particularly for this house at the back with the solar panels on it. They've lost most of their backyard, so not sure what's happening on that front, but that's kind of where we're up to today. So I will carry on digging. Good exercise, and when I've had enough, I'll stop. See you later.